Look, just saying, I'll be honest from now on is not enough after infidelity. After a big betrayal, saying things like, just trust me, feels like an insult. If you are trying to rebuild after an affair, then transparency really needs to become more of a practice in your relationship. So in this video, I'll be breaking down exactly what that looks like in real life, from daily transparency to digital check-ins, to the deeper work that really begins to earn trust back over time. If you're new here, my name is Wes. I'm a licensed couples therapist, and I specialize in working with couples who have been through affairs. I've worked with a number of couples who have been through affairs and really want to stay together. And I've helped them work through the difficult process of rebuilding trust in the relationship. It can take time, but it is possible. So in today's video, we're going to talk about how to actually do that in your own relationship if you've decided to stay with a partner who has had an affair, and what that trust building realistically looks like for the both of you. Let's get into it. The first thing you need to do to ensure transparency and honesty moving forward is to define what transparency really looks like for both of you. Now, this sounds like a basic step, but you'd be surprised how many couples don't have a shared definition of what true transparency in the relationship looks like. And this is often what leads to affairs in the first place. So having a shared definition of transparency and what you expect from each other moving forward can be really important here. First, just start with asking the question, what does transparency or what does honesty mean to you? And get really practical, nuts and bolts with it. For some people, that means sharing passwords. For others, it means sharing access to social media accounts and maybe sharing with the other person at a scheduled time of the week. For others, it just means having open dialogue around what they're doing throughout the day, if they are leaving the home, what they're going to do, who they're meeting with, that type of thing. But the point here is that you can't rebuild trust unless you have a shared emotional blueprint with your partner. So start by just getting on the same page. Step 2 here is to instigate voluntary sharing, not just reactive telling of the truth. Especially if you are the partner who committed the affair, don't wait to be asked to share something. Volunteer it before your partner asks. This will help really build a sense of trust with your partner. They don't feel like they have to go prying into your information constantly. That can be exhausting work for them. An example of what this could look like is you ran into your affair partner out in the world, or maybe you ran into a shared friend with that affair partner when you're at a shared event. When you come back home, say to your partner, hey, I ran into so-and-so at that event that I went to last night. Nothing happened, but I just really wanted to share that I ran into them because I knew it might upset you. If you are the partner who was cheated on, then voluntary sharing of information might be voluntary sharing of your hurts or triggers that come up. You don't have to keep all of that inside with you all the time. And the more that you do, the more burden and resentment that you start to feel towards your partner. So that could just look like, hey, I felt triggered the other day when I was thinking about the affair, or hey, we were watching this show and they brought up cheating in the show, and I honestly felt really triggered. I started to think about everything again, and I felt really bad, and I felt really resentful towards you all night last night. I just wanted to bring that up and mention that I was feeling that way and just wanted to talk through it with you. So proactive sharing with your partner in that way can be really beneficial to helping you both kind of get through this over time and process those underlying feelings. Step 3 is transparency in your digital life. Everybody's got social media accounts, obviously, and a lot of affairs happen because of social media. And maybe the affair partner was all up in your DMs, or you were liking their photos on Instagram. But whatever happened in the past, social media accounts, phones, the internet in general, all of these are just battlegrounds of potential betrayal. They're opportunities for temptation, and they are separate worlds from what your partner may be interacting with you in. So openly sharing those with your partner, sharing passwords, having a daily check-in, especially in the beginning phases when you're rebuilding after an affair, can actually be really helpful for the partner who was cheated on to develop a sense of security. Now, this doesn't have to be a forever thing. Over time, as you rebuild trust, some of these things may fade into the background, and your partner may be able to slowly develop more of a sense of trust in you and trust that the things that you're doing on social media are not suspicious. But for now, in the beginning stages of rebuilding trust, it may be helpful to develop some kind of understanding between both of you about what constitutes a fair arrangement as far as transparency in the social media realm. The next step, and I will say this is the hardest, is emotional transparency. Now, this can be really difficult because if you were cheated on, then you may feel triggered all the time. And it is really vulnerable to share those feelings with your partner, especially a partner who's broken your trust so recently. But sharing your feelings with your partner can be really important here and can help rebuild a sense of intimacy and closeness with your partner over time. And trust is built hand in hand with connection and intimacy. So that could look like when you feel triggered, just simply sharing that openly with your partner, saying, hey, this is something that I was afraid of happening. Or, hey, I'm feeling really uncomfortable right now. Or, hey, I know that you really want to go to that party, but to be totally honest with you, I just feel really uncomfortable with it. I feel scared you're going to cheat on me. By sharing your emotions with your partner, it gives them the opportunity to meet you emotionally, to show up in the ways that you hope that they will, and reassure you, help rebuild that trust, talk about boundaries, and it gives you an opportunity to work together. If you keep that to yourself, then it again puts that burden on you. You start to carry it around with you, and it creates resentment over time. So begin to try to, over time, open up and share more openly with your partner. And 5 is to create transparency agreements together. Having agreements in relationships around pretty much everything is super, super important, because if things aren't out in the open, clarified, then it leaves room for disagreements, for misunderstandings, for disconnection. So have a shared agreement and try to make it now as you're watching this video. What can we both commit to around transparency in our relationship? You can agree to check in every night with each other, even briefly, or you could agree to saying, hey, if we recognize a boundary being pushed, we're going to pause and try to talk about it before overreacting. Little agreements like that that are super simple. They feel small in the moment, but it's things like that that can help you develop a sense of trust with your partner over time, because you know what to expect and you're developing routines and rituals of check-in together. Remember that transparency isn't a one-time fix. It's something that you build together over time. But the good news is that every small act of transparency rebuilds trust. And trust is a multi-step process that takes time to rebuild, but it is possible. I've seen it in my work with couples. So if any of this was helpful to you, please give me a like and subscribe to my channel, and check out my next video on how to handle lingering doubts and insecurities that come up after an affair has taken place in the relationship. Thanks.